Welcome to the You Are a Force podcast channel, your go-to space for real stories, fearless dreams, and unstoppable women rewriting the rules. And the force behind this podcast. Here is your host, Binoli Botadara.
Everyone, welcome to You Are a Force, the podcast where we celebrate women who just don't push their boundaries, but they actually prove what's impossible. They rewrite their entire script. I'm your host, Binoli Botadra, and my guest today just did not win matches. She actually changed the trajectory of Indian sport. Long before the medals and global fame, she was a young girl in Hyderabad, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, traveling for 50 kilometers on the back of the scooter just to train. And years later, she would step into the world stage and do unthinkable, become a first Indian woman to reach world number one in badminton, an Olympic gold medalist, a Commonwealth Game champion, and recipient of India's highest honors, Padma Bhushan, Khel Ratna, Arjuna Award. But this is literally a part of her story because she is such an incredible, wholesome human being. And her greatest achievement isn't actually the 24 international titles she holds, but the way she actually changed what millions of young girls in India believed possible looking at her journey. So it's my absolute honor to welcome none other than Saina Nehwal. Thank you so much, Saina, for being on You Are a Force.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm literally blushing because it's like a complete fangirl moment. Because I can't imagine that, someone who I admired from so far is actually someone who is talking to me today. So thank you for making my dream come true as well. And I really, really, really wanted, and I know how much I chased you and borderline stalked you to get you on Your Force, but it's my absolute honor.
I think it's fine. Sometimes we feel that, we like some people so much that we want to take their interviews. And, because of the busy schedule, I was also thinking, I should be doing that. And finally, I was like, okay, let us just do it, 18th. Otherwise, tomorrow again, I have one event in Mumbai.
Oh,
So I was
okay.
like, if I don't do it today, she will
Today.
kill me. But I really like to share my stories, and I'm happy that you like badminton, you liked me, and it'll be nice to share some good things about my journey with you. Yeah.
I am completely not a sports person. While growing up, I was very much into music and art and dancing and everything. But because of my dad, I started following cricket, and
Okay.
I'm a huge Sachin fan. And when he retired, I stopped following cricket pretty much. But I followed then tennis, football, and badminton. And today I
Nice.
love tennis the most actually.
Yeah.
Football here and there, and badminton pretty much because of you. So I can give
Okay.
you that credit.
Okay.
But it's been amazing to actually see you shine. And
Thank you so much.
Vasaina, I want to start from the very beginning, from the scooter in Hyderabad, and your family. Your dad used to actually take you at 4 a.m. in the morning to literally take you to train when you used to fall asleep on his shoulders. Being an 8 years old girl. So how did the love affair start with the racket, and also because actually the training is something you did. But before that, I think karate was your first love, and you were a brown belt in karate too, right? So,
Yeah.
did you want to become like a secretly a doctor or a dancer, or you were always inclined towards sports?
So I think as an 8-year old, I was someone who used to love sports. I don't know what I will become in the future. That was not the thinking, and I was not even thinking about it as Papa is a scientist, and we moved to Hyderabad because he got promoted.
Okay.
Otherwise, I was someone who used to play a lot of sports after the school, and my mom used to actually even shout, my name like, "Come, at least have your dinner, have your lunch." And I used to be in the ground full time. And they used to love badminton. Basically, they used to play badminton in Haryana, And I used to see them play, and I was like, I will play any sport, but not badminton because they
No
were
way.
playing it. They were playing it. And I used to have thoda pakodas, yeah, omelette over there. And I used to just rush back and play the other sports like kho swimming, kabaddi. I used to love every
Right.
sports with my friends over there. And then we one day Papa says that we have to move to Hyderabad. And I was like, oh my God, there's total difference from north to south, language, my
Yeah,
friends. So more than him, I and my sister were worried, we are going to
of
leave
course.
all my friends and all that. So, but Papa says we have to move and we have to, go there. And we were like, okay, fine. Then
Yeah.
initially, first year, we moved in 98. So I was like, I want to play some sport. As After the school, I had enough time to, do my homework and everything. So he was like, why don't you join karate for 1 year? So
Hmm.
I did karate from 98 to 99, 1 year. I was 8 years old and I was like a brown belt in that. And I just
Hmm.
had to get one more belt to, complete it. But, the stunts which they make you do is very, very difficult. And I was like, oh my God, jumping on stomach, different, fightings. And so I requested my dad, maybe a sport where I can just enjoy a little bit more of competition and not get hit that much. And I think I can't do it anymore. In fact, my coaches were like, "You just have one more belt to go, and you're doing really well. Just finish this."
Hmm.
But I think somewhere my destiny was taking me to badminton, I guess, and we went to the summer camp. In the stadium, and I was like, oh my God, I'm back to badminton because
Hmm.
my parents had few friends here. They knew that badminton was very big in Hyderabad, and we had a beautiful stadium in the
Hmm.
starting, Lal Bahadur Stadium, and SMRF sir, Govardhan sir, Nani Prasad sir, they were big coaches at that point of time in Hyderabad.
Hmm.
And in fact, I was a bit late for the summer camp, and the coach was like, "Come next year because the admission is full for
Okay.
this year." And my father requested, maybe you can just see her play. If you like it, she will just join because otherwise she'll eat her head for 2 months. She has the break, summer camp holidays. So he said, okay, fine, let's see how she plays. And the first
Hmm.
shot I played was a smash, and he was so impressed. Like, how is this possible? Usually beginners don't hit a smash initially.
Really?
And he was very surprised. He was like, and that's fine. I think we will take her for the summer camp. And I was also surprised. My father was like, by seeing us play, she could just hit the first shot as a smash. I mean, sometimes you learn so much by only seeing it, and
Hmm.
I was also surprised too. But the next day when I started the training, we used to travel for 25 kilometers up and down by bus. We had to change two buses. And by the time I used to reach there, I was all ready to, because all the time I was sleeping in the bus for one and a
Of
half, two
course.
hours, and I was quite fresh at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, I should do whatever the coach says. I will do good training, and I will show that I'm a good learner, or I will give good competition to all the boys and girls out here. So the mindset was only competition with all those girls and boys over there of
Hmm.
my age group. So there was no thinking that I will be a world champion, or I will take it as a professional sport or something. I was just thinking about, father is a scientist, so maybe I'll go for doctor or engineering, as all the people in our house are either doctors or engineers. So that is the only option which I thought मेरा भी वही रहेगा future में. But I didn't know that slowly I will like the competition so much, the training so much, that I will push for almost 5 6 hours in the summer camp. So we only used to have the morning sessions, and usually the kids used to get tired in 2 hours, 3 hours, and I used to push for another 2 hours just for fun
Wow.
and keep playing, keep playing. And my father used to sit calmly over there, although his office is start at 9 o'clock. And he was just sitting calmly, and he was looking at me training, and he was like, Saira likes to train, so I will just be here and see how much she loves to play.
How
I mean,
sweet.
his support was really, really great, because he used to reach office by 11:30. I don't know what all he used to hear from his director at that point of time, but he was very supportive that he used to give me extra 2 hours to just enjoy myself. And in the last day of the summer camp, we had the tournament, and I got selected for the regulars.
Okay.
Now, the problem was I have to come two times to the stadium, mornings and evenings.
Wow.
So that is when the challenge began. I was like 25 kilometers in the morning and 25 kilometers in the evening again, because I had to
Yeah.
come back to school. And my mom used to take me in the evening again by bus to the stadium, and we used to be back by around 8:39. And at that point of time, I didn't have a physio, trainer, dietitian, mental trainer,
Sure.
so there was nobody. And it was only my mom and the coach, the starting coach. So my mom used to make sure that she sits whole night and massage my legs, so that
Oh,
I feel good for the next day. I can train for the next day. She was someone who was actually thinking, I want to make my child an Olympic champion or a world champion. Or she was actually manifesting that, and she was actually telling me and dad all these things. And we used to laugh at her, because at that point of time, what I understood badminton was all about China, Korea, and all these countries dominating, and she's thinking like, I will be world champion, or I will be Olympic medalist someday. And she was like, no, you can do it. I have that belief in you. She's a housewife, and she's thinking about me for such a
such,
long
yeah,
journey. Such a long journey. She's actually thinking about all that. She was sitting a
so
whole
good.
night, and also making food that will make me much stronger. So she used to make dry fruits laddu, and then make me drink so much of milk with that oil, badam oil, and all that, because she knew that even if she's going to play under 10, I will make her so strong that she can participate in under 13, under 16, under 19, and I want her to win in all the categories. So I don't know how it came into her, but she was just ready for all the tough times ahead, and I was also ready for that, because I used to just love competing. I don't know,
Mm,
the feeling of never giving up, and competition, I think, came from karate, because that really made me mentally strong, I feel.
strong, yeah.
But the love for sport actually kept me going for this difficult journey of 25 kilometers up and down. And also, seeing my mom sitting whole night massaging my legs, and taking care of me and my sister as well. She was 7 years older to me, so she really wanted her to be, she was good in studies, so she was taking care of both of us, sacrificing her sleep and everything. She was ready for
Yeah.
all that. But one day, I was like, how tough this sport is, because you are coming back with the so much of body pains, and you need like so much of different kind of recoveries, and then you have to go to ice bath and all that. So our coach used to say that you have to go to ice bath and do all these things, and I was like, oh my god, this is even more tougher. But I somehow, we were kids, so we used to like all these different kind of stuff. And then the
Yeah.
training which they used to make me do, like the um, sprinting, the agilities, the skipping part, everything on court, or different matches competition with all the youngsters. I became really good in 1 month. I started defeating all the girls out there, and giving tough fight to all the boys also. And I used to complete the whole training very well. The coaches were very impressed, and they were like, "Let's sign up, play first tournament." And the
Mm.
first tournament was under 10 state championship in Tirupati, and went on winning it. And I was like, "Acha, jeetne ka, you get money to win tournament." I got 500 rupees, and then I also got a cute cup and
Trophy.
a
Yeah.
trophy and a medal. And I was like, "Papa, जीतने का पैसा मिलता है." He was like, "Shut up, shut up and focus on your training." And then
Yeah.
many people were taking my autographs, and I became so
Really?
popular. Yeah, yeah,
Oh my
the people
God.
who were there to watch my match, and then I
So
became so
cute.
popular in school, and I was like a hero in the school. And they in fact told my mom that you can take the last 2 periods off, and then you can prepare for your state championship, national championships, and whatever you have in the
Mm.
future. And I was like, wow, the school is also very, very supportive. I
Supportive.
was I
Yeah.
was in Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Vidya Ashram in Rajendra Nagar, Hyderabad, and they were
Wonderful.
very supportive. And I think this all was just maybe, sometimes when I look back, it was just like I was lucky, or it was written, or it was
It was
destined, that
meant to
all
be. It was
everything
meant
was
to be.
meant to be. Yes. So there
Yeah.
was there was nothing, like nobody was stopping me from doing this. Everyone was there to sit for another 1 2 hours
Mm.
patiently to see how I'm playing. In fact, in the evening, my mom was there for 4 5 hours. Any small mistake, my mom, my coach was ready to, scold me from back or hit me with the racket, or they were ready with the barrel as well, shuttle barrel khali rehta tha with the, because all the shuttles we were using, and then they were ready. If any mistake, we are there to, you know, give you one tight shot from behind. And I was like, oh my God, I was very alert. I was like, mistake nahi karna hai. I was not feeling stressed about that. In fact,
You were enjoying that.
I enjoyed that, even though I was crying in some of the practice sessions, I used to cry and finish it off because I was like, I want to see them happy with my training. I want to see them, that I want to see that, they come back with good praises for me, and they tell me that you did good training today. So I was not worried about the tournament so much, but I
Sure.
was very, very worried about that session. Acha jana hai. Training session should be really, really good. And I
Yeah.
was happy that some days, yes, it was not so good because you're training for almost 6, 7 days a week. And in fact, my mom was so crazy behind me that she made me train even on Sundays. And I was like, to be a champion, to serve the nation, you have to do this. When I read about Michael Phelps, Djokovic, and all the top players out there, in fact, they also have said that we also train on Sundays. We to get that Olympic gold. We can't even have a favorite food because we want to win the
Mm.
championship, and all these sacrifices. And then I really understood that they knew that champion requires such kind of discipline. And I was like,
Discipline.
Sunday ko bhi uthna padega. nahi to I was a kid who initially, yes, I was challenging myself 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but by the time fourth, fifth week I was ready for all the days training, and I was ready for that difficult journey. I was ready for
Mm.
getting up 4 in the morning, and I was ready for going for all the training sessions. And I didn't know that that journey will be so fast that within 2, 3 months I'll be state champion, I'll be national champion under 10. I was also under 13 national champion within few months. So all these things went really fast because of
Mm.
the because I got the touch of the game very fast, and I
Mm.
also had people who were imagining that she can be someone who winning at the highest level. In fact, my coach Govardhan Reddy silently put my name on his phone as world champion, and he
He
showed me
did.
later that this I did it when I was in the summer camp. You won't
How
believe this was all
sweet.
happening in the summer camp when I just
Oh
joined
my
the game.
God.
And when I look back, I was like, was it even real, or I was just watching a movie or something like that? But it was all, I think, real. And the way I used to push myself, sometimes the coaches used to be like, thoda kam karegi bhi chalega, you're pushing yourself too much. I
Too
used to love
much.
training. I used to push myself for 10, 11 hours non-stop, non-stop. मैं करती ही रहती थी training. So
Yeah.
this is how I started. But it was never like I want to become a doctor or I want to become something. It was just that पापा कर रहे हैं तो मुझे भी यही करना होगा. But
Hmm.
suddenly in 2, 3 months, the mindset totally changed, and I was like, कैसे under 10 national champion बनना है या कैसे under 13 national champion बनना है. So it just turned out to be, slowly the focus became badminton.
Shifted.
Yes, yeah, shifted. Yes.
Shifted. And I mean, oh my God, I visualized every bit when you were saying, and I can imagine how amazing it must be to have that kind of support system, right? As a young girl, because when you are that young, there's a very little in your control apart from just,
Yes.
playing and training, but everyone else just made it happen because it was
Yeah.
meant to be, I guess. And looking back 25 years of your long journey, I really think that because you were gifted, everyone else also sort of started investing into you in terms of because they
Yeah.
saw something in you, I believe. Of course, parents are parents and they're gonna go above and beyond for the child, but I think the coaches and other people, even your school, you said, and I think they all played, according to me, a part in your
No,
world
I
champion.
feel that only my mom and the first coach, he was not a big coach. He was just a state level player, and
Hmm.
he became a coach over there. But imagine, I didn't have a mental trainer, I didn't have a trainer, physio, dietitian, I didn't have anyone. I didn't think
Sure.
about this game can actually, because nobody, even in the senior category, nobody thought that we could actually beat Chinese or all these top athletes. It was all about national champion ban jayenge and you will get a job in some company,
Government, yeah.
government job. And I was like, I used to tell this to my parents, and they were like, "We don't want all this from you. You just focus and do well in your training, and we just want to see how well you play
Yeah.
at the nationals, and then think about the international level. Don't think about job and all these things." I'm like, these are the things people are talking around. This is
Mm.
what they talk around. And my mom used to like, let me talk to them. You just focus on your training. So my mom used to be like a wall. She used to always stand there, and she used to be like, talk to me, not to my daughter. Because she's not someone who likes to talk so much and don't come in between her training. And she used to always be there,
So
ready to
sweet.
give back to those seniors who used to actually bully me sometimes. They used to be like, you have put on so much of weight, you look so strong, and do you drink so much of milk and all that? Because we were vegetarians, so my mom believed that I will, make her very strong, that she can participate in all the categories. But
Mm.
I used to, my seniors used to bully me, and then my mom used to like, you better not do that. She drinks 25 liters of milk a day. Go tell everyone you want. But I want her to train. I don't want her to cry for these silly things. Only thing I want her to cry is about her game, whether she's, training hard or no. Please don't come in between her training and disturb the training session, because the whole session gets disturbed if
Mm.
someone is listening like that. And once that day, also when I was listening to all this, I realized how important is that one session. The
Mm.
one session. Imagine the one session is. I lost that one session, and my opponent who won the tournament is
Mm.
actually doing that one more session extra than me, and she won the tournament. So imagine one session is so
Made
much
so much
important.
of,
It means so much.
yeah, make so much
And
of difference.
this is how my two strong pillars, my mom and the initial coach, made me a player who could play at the international level by the time I was only 12, and I was playing in the senior category. Within 3 years of 9, 10, 11, I was defeating all the top athletes in our
Mm.
country. I was winning in all the categories, and by 12 I was playing in the senior category, and that is when I realized how tough it is to be world number one. And that is the first time I saw all the world champions, world number ones in the senior category, and I was like, this is a very long journey. I can see those players are very, very strong. It's not easy to be Olympic champion if I just train this way, or I'll have to push even more harder, because I used to see all those top athletes even after matches going back to the warm-up court and training extra, or in the night I used to see them in the gym as well, training
Wow.
extra. In the
Really?
morning, after losing the matches in the morning, they're reporting at 6 o'clock. Even if they had bad matches, even if they're crying, they used to do the training. And slowly I realized that crying will not help you win the matches. You will have to show up, you will have to be reporting to your coach, you have to get up next day morning and keep
Mm.
training, and that is when the results will come.
Mm.
And so I think I became really matured. I matured really early, because I could get the chance to play in the senior category when I was 12, 13, 14, and
Mm.
I defeated, Aparna Popat, who was world number 28 at that point of time in India.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, when I was 13, 14, Gopi sir became our coach, and he by then won the All England Championship. So he was good at the international level. So he was telling me that you will have to um, not do so much of training, but quality training, and we will
Mm.
stick to 6, 7 hours of good pushing. And for playing at the international level, you will need to have some protein. You cannot just carry food from here, because I was a vegetarian. So you cannot do that. You'll have to have some non-veg, because to go to China, Korea, and all these countries,
Mm.
it'll get really difficult to find vegetarian food. So you better also start having a little bit of protein and then tone yourself up. Then he also said how to do weight training and how to manage your on-court training. So luckily we had him as our coach when we were 13, 14. So this group, we were lucky that he came at that point of time. And within 1, 2 years, I won the Philippines Open, defeating world number three, and we won the first Commonwealth Games team event bronze medal. In fact, within 1, 2 years, I was in the Olympics as well. So yeah, so everything happened very, very fast.
Gradually.
Got gradually, and then got good sponsorship from Bharat Petroleum, from Yonex, from from Mithal's Champions Trust and from OGQ. So there were so many foundations who came forward to support me in the for the tournaments, and I still don't believe when I look back that when I was 15, 16, 17, in fact, because Gopi sir was making his academy here, I had to travel so many tournaments alone without a coach as well. So I was like, how did I even go and manage to play so many tournaments and win most of them, and then try my level best to reach at least quarters and semis in most of them. And the Olympic year in 2008, he traveled in most of the tournaments because he knew how big the Olympic is, and we
Big,
have to
yeah.
get medal over there. But he was like, "I'm sorry because this academy we are constructing over here, so you will have to manage 2 3 years on your own." And I was like, "How did I do that?" But yes, the love for the game, love for the competition was there, and some force was really helping me to just do well, I guess. And in fact, when I just mentioned that I got my first physio when I was 19, the first 10 years was good that I didn't get any kind of injury, bad injuries, or I didn't have to suffer with the training because Gopi sir gave us good training. But suppose if I had the team, how easier it would have been, when you have your mental trainer, you have your dietitian, you have everyone who look after you. You don't have to
Yes,
really think about all these things because the
sure.
energy for a player, the energy should be totally for the court and nothing else.
Mm,
So, imagine we were also thinking about what to train, how much to train, to push extra or not, what to have perfectly so that I don't put on weight because I have this
yeah.
tendency to put on weight. And small 1 2 kilos also matters so much that you have to move very fast on the court. So
Mm,
sometimes you feel heavy, and then that is how you lose most of the matches. And
mm,
sometimes you feel heavy, you feel tired. So you have to really take care of each and everything. Your mind is focused or not. You
mm,
have recovered well or not. So the night sleep is also very important. So all these things, we used to take care by ourselves. And but luckily, last 3 4 years have been really good for Indian badminton. That we are getting all the support from the government for all the top 25 players of the world. And they're getting two coaches, physios, trainers, sparring partners, mental trainers. So I think the game has improved a lot. But I
yeah,
think me being the first one, had to face few challenges here and
of
there. But
course,
I
of
think I
course.
was in that era where I could get badminton to the spotlight in India, and say badminton became the second most loved sport. So I think I'm so
Absolutely.
proud I could change the scene
Yeah,
of
the
badminton.
trajectory.
Yes.
100%, 100%. And like a lot of things which you said actually were like the first timers, right? Because a lot of guidance which you should have got it from the professionals. Of course, you were
Yes.
trying your diet and everything, but I mean, it's like, if I'm your friend, I can give you an ear to, for you to give me all your whatever heartbreaks or whatever, as a friend. But as a professional, what one can do, that I cannot replace or any of that sort. And also, I think it's important because I can imagine the amount of uh, pressure you would face because you have to do everything, right? In terms of, like you said, that your focus is not just on the court, but also how you're maturing, and also when you interact with all these world athletes and try and be a sponge that what they are doing and what's working for them, in terms of like noticing that, oh, they are also after a loss, also they're actually getting up and going and again training. I think that also requires a big mental strength, I would say.
Discipline as well,
Yeah,
yes.
discipline, 100%. Because that's what I wanted to actually pick up, because in the mid 2000s, you just said that, there was a Chinese dominance in badminton, and it was an absolute psychological wall as well, right? You actually went and broke that, and also in Indonesian Open also you became the first Indian to win the BWF Super Series title. So I really want to pick on that do you also study your opponent who you're going to play against? And what really makes someone who is highly talented, but who also, I mean, yes, talent is one, but what makes you a champion? So, what do you think separates between a champion's mind from highly talented player?
So I think I was not someone who was very talented. I didn't have beautiful shots like the some of the talented players in badminton. I used to make badminton look so tough. From outside, all my matches were like so dramatic, and I used to keep running and picking up shots. And I was someone like Nadal. Someone running around the court and picking up all the shots. So there's to many of my fans and people, the coaches who all traveled with me for the tournaments, they used to be like, heart attack de diya tha aaj to. Most of the matches were like that. So they all used to be like, her matches are always very, very close and long matches. But, I used to, one thing I used to make sure that hard work can beat talent most of the times when you try to improve your shots and you know that you're not so good playing all the different kind of drop shots or half smashes or perfect net shots and all that. Somewhere that you're not very good at it,
Hmm.
but you also know that it's in your hand to push yourself and make it perfect. And for me, if the opponent is done that 500 times, I have to make sure I'm doing it 1,000 times.
Hmm.
So that in match when I'm playing against the top 10 players in the world, and the difference is very, very less in top 10. It's not like
Hmm. Yeah.
huge difference, but those few shots matters. Sometimes the rally matters. Sometimes the huge smashes matters. So luckily for me, smashes and running was good, but I need to really work on my defense and my shots. And I always used to say I was not someone who was very talented. I was someone who was to maybe kill myself and work extra hard to make my shots better, make myself so good that I don't get tired on the court.
Hmm.
And I think that makes a champion, because there's so many players whom I have seen in 25 years who came and went and then became coach as well, who used to actually train better than me or faster than me in the ground and all that. But still, that match quality was not there in most of them.
Hmm.
Whenever they used to play matches, they used to hit out or they used to always lose and come back. I should never understand. Till today, I don't understand, when you train so hard, how can you lose matches? But I think there is always an X factor with the champions.
Hmm.
Whenever they play matches, they know how to turn it in their favor. It's the quality which not everyone gets it. And sometimes many players used to come to me and ask, ऐसा कैसे हो जाता है that we train so much, we train equally, and um, it is it is this way that we are losing and you are doing well. And I was like, not that I am also good at it, but I make sure, or the team, my mom used to make sure that I go for that extra 1 hour on the court and keep doing that extra thing which requires perfection.
Hmm.
And whenever I'm playing match, I am alert each and every point. Sometimes I've seen many players just giving up 1 2 points by hitting the shot to the net or hitting out. So I was not someone like that. I was
Hmm.
someone very alert in each and every point. And I think that's what makes a champion very different from the other players, that every point they're so alert, they don't make
Hmm.
easy mistakes. Every rally is like the last rally of the match, and so they give more than 100% in that. And these are the things. And then how well you other things, like how well you recover yourself, how well you take rest, how well you are disciplined, that sacrificing the other parts of your life. You are not thinking about going out as much, shopping, movies, and all these things are just cut off totally. You know that if you are not training for 3 4 days, that is equal to 2 3 weeks of training down, because badminton is a game where you're playing almost 16 17 tournaments in a year.
Hmm.
So if you take a break for 3 4 days, sometimes you're just losing 1 2 weeks of your fitness. So you have to somewhere keep that in your mind, that
Wow.
break is equal to, for me it was like that, because I was not someone who could take a break of a week, go out for a holiday and then come back and be okay with my stamina or with my endurance. Everything used to suffer. So I was someone who was training consistently. In fact, I didn't take any holiday as well when I was playing. But it's not that many top players take a few days of holidays here and there, because nowadays you can maintain your body even in your holidays. And
True.
uh, but they will not be taking as much in a sport like badminton and tennis, where the
Mm.
competition is just back to back, and you have to
Yeah.
keep your body, keep your mind, keep your strokes, keep everything 100% perfect. So
Mm.
it's that challenging. And for me, I think champion mindset, champion never giving up attitude. Even whenever you play matches, you're 100% ready for the challenge. You're not going to the tournaments if you're 50-50. If you're injured, if you're not good enough, you understand that I'm not good enough, and I just don't play that tournament. Get ready for the next one. Go there, give you 100%. So these are the things which makes some difference between the champion players and the players who play at the highest level. And I've seen so many players, at the top level, just going immediately after losing the match to the gym, reporting next day in the morning. So that
Differentiates.
training is always there in their mind. So that I think really, and some players think that if we train too much, it might cause injuries, and they're scared to push that themselves so much. So if you're scared to push yourself so much, then you cannot expect to get that kind of result. So some players are just like killing themselves, and some are a little bit restricting themselves. So
Mm.
I think that is what also makes
Makes a
a huge
difference.
difference. So every little thing here and there makes a lot of difference, and that's how the top five, top 10 players. I think I, being in top 10 for almost 12 years, understood that part, that crying will not help you a lot. And even having your favorite food after losing will not help you as much. Just correcting yourself maybe with the gym or with on-court workout is going to help you. Showing up and listening to your coach will help you and make you win tournaments. So I think I understood that with the experience of playing at the highest level when I was 13, 14, 15. And many times when I went alone as well, I used to really focus on how these Chinese trains, how these Koreans train, because they have a system. They have a system that even after losing, what is
They do.
that is keep that what is that is helping them to keep pushing again and again and again.
Mm.
And what is that it helps them to keep producing champion again and again and again. So
Mm.
yeah, to learn all these things, you have to go for
Yeah.
tournaments. You have to see
Totally.
their practice. Yeah.
And yeah, I think so equally how much the fitness of your body, I think the mental fitness is also equally important because that's what,
Yes, mental fitness is important. So the
yeah.
better your body is with training, you have so much of stamina, your mind automatically works. If you're not ready physically, because finally
Mm.
it's a physical sport. So the better your body is, the more longer rallies you can do without getting tired, the much more your brain is going to work better. And also you can listen to your coach who's
Mm.
sitting behind. You can understand what he's trying to say. Otherwise, many players get tired and don't understand what is
Yeah.
happening, because you tend to lose your breath in between, and then there's no time to listen to the coach or the people shouting from behind. So you
Yeah.
have to make sure your body is always 100% ready for the big matches. Yeah.
True. London 2012. You won India's first ever Olympic medal in badminton, and the entire country of 1 billion people is celebrating you as a national hero. But I want to talk about a moment where the stadium emptied, cameras stopped, and you were alone with the trophy or with the medal in your room. How was the feeling, and also what did that moment actually make you feel like, or make you, I don't know, make you feel like, yeah.
Um, I think for a player, Olympics is everything. It's a dream of every player to have an Olympic medal when you are in a sport which uh, for I think badminton Olympic medal is everything, and you are there at that level. And when you have the dream, your mom is dreaming for that medal from childhood, and you have your coaches thinking about it from childhood, and you missed the medal in the previous Olympics. So you were actually thinking about last time it was very, very close. I was 11-3 up in the third set in 2008 Olympics, and the medal was just very, very close. But I was only 18. I was thinking about all those memories, how my mom used to think that I will get a medal, all my training and everything came in front of me suddenly. And then I just got 2 points, and my opponents went on winning the match 21-13. And after that, I'm just sitting and I'm thinking, how did the match turn? In the third set, I was leading so much. I was talking to my coach, and coach was like, again, 4 years, you have to train, you have to get back. Think about short-term goals. Don't think about the next Olympics. Otherwise, it will look like a long journey. But just think about the next tournament. And I was like, how to think? How did I lose that match? How to just forget this match? It's a shock. And he
Mm,
was like, it happens to many players. It's not only you. Many times, many top players lose such matches. It's okay. It happens. But I
mm,
couldn't stop crying. I was thinking about how to get up tomorrow morning again, and how to be disciplined, total discipline again for the next 4 years. What if injury happens? What if I don't get another chance?
mm.
Because sometimes not many players get another chance in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Sometimes, so all these doubts were coming, and he was like, report next day at 6 in the morning. I really want to see you on the court tomorrow. And I was like, no, this is very, very tough. I'm not coming. I'm not coming. He said, okay, fine. You sleep today or you don't sleep today. I don't care. You have your food or you don't have your food. I don't care. I want to see you tomorrow morning on the court. I will be there. And I was like, no, I'm not coming. So I'm not coming, sir. And he was like, fine. And then he just went off because the shock was so much. I think even he was not able to understand how the match
Process.
was flipped.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking about what just happened. Can I play this match again? But it will not happen again. And I was just listening to that coach talking to a girl from Indonesia who defeated me. He told her in the interval in the third set that just pack your bags. Match is finished. This was the strategy which he told her. And suddenly the way she played, I mean, he just pinched her a little bit, and the
Mm,
way she played after that, not leaving any point, and there were long rallies happening, and I lost that match 21-13. And imagine sometimes small push is required in, it can be any way, positive way or negative way.
mm, mm,
As you know how the player will take it, you will understand, the coaches understand that. And she went on winning the medal, in the Olympics.
mm,
And I was like, my God, I have to. But I trained well after that. I was just looking after I was just thinking about the next tournament. I won the Chinese Taipei Open. Then I became the first one to win Indonesia Open. And after that year, I became the first one to win three Super Series back to back. I came to world number two, and I was like, I have to continue this. I have to just continue playing well. 2 more years for the Olympics. And Gopisa was like, you just relax first. Don't think about the Olympics. Just think about the next tournaments, and I'm sure you will do well. And within no time, the 4 years were over, and I played extremely well. I was ranked 3 or 4 in the Olympics, and I was like, now this time I better make sure, after leading so much, I have to think about there is 20 more points to go. Don't think about there is only a few more points to
mm,
go. That is the first villain what happened in 2008 Olympics. And I was
mm,
like, in the quarterfinals, I was down 2017, and I went on winning it 20-20 this time. So I was like, talking to Gopi sir, and I was in the semifinals, and I was like, sir, this time I turned it around 2017, and then I won 20-20. And he was like, good. Now we have to, think about the semis, and you getting the medal this time.
mm,
I lost in the semifinals to Wang Yihan, who was one opponent. Actually, I can say that she was not like a rival. She was someone like, she used to thrash me in every match, whichever I played. Till 2014, my head to head with her was 10-1. Can you believe it? She was 10 and I was only 1, and I was like, I'm going to get her. She was someone who was like an all rounder. She had everything perfect in her game, and it was very difficult to read her game and to defeat her. But I was ready this time. I was like, I will give my best. I tried everything, but she was again, she was better than me there. She defeated me, and now I'm sitting and I'm thinking that now the time is, I have to play the losing semifinals match, which is also a bronze medal match.
mm,
And Gopi sir is like, don't think about this match now. You have to think about tomorrow's match because that's very important. And I'm like, how can I not think about this?
mm.
Again, I lost the semifinal this time, and I have to play the losing semifinals. And he said the opponent is also thinking about that. Don't worry, you both have to face each other. Even she lost
Previous
semifinals
match.
match. So just
Yeah.
think about the match tomorrow. I'm like, how to forget this match? And he's like, don't worry, just think about tomorrow. So the whole night I was not in a good mood. I couldn't sleep well. But next day morning, Gopi sir calls me up and he's like, just do good warm up, be ready for the match. I'm pretty sure you can get the medal this time. Just be positive. Don't think about negative things. I know it would have been tough for you to sleep the whole night as well, but I believe in you. You have trained very hard. It will happen. And I was like, sir, nahi ho raha hai, sir. And I was like, you just let us just go. And we did proper warm up. I was on the court. I started a little bit late because I was still thinking about the match. So my recovery in the match was a little bit slow. I was 6-1 down. I made it 6 all. I was 10-6 down. I made it 10 all. I was 20-18 down in the first set. And my opponent, I just hit a toss on a backhand. And she just she just sat down. And I was like, what is this? Why did she sit in between? And I didn't see any kind of injury happening, or
Mm.
she didn't jump that high that she fell on her ankle or her knee twisted or something. I didn't
Yeah.
understand what happened.
Yeah.
And suddenly the match stopped. And I was thinking, and I was looking at my coaches, I was looking at the whole Wembley arena because there were so many Indians over there to watch the match. And I was like, what just happened? She went to the umpire, and she was like, I cannot play the match anymore. And I was
Oh,
like, what just happened? Because they were not showing the replay. And it
okay.
was just that I had to understand maybe something is just wrong with the knee or ankle. I didn't understand. And I was looking at my coach. He was like, you just keep yourself cool, relax, just warm up, just be
Yeah.
ready for the next point.
Yeah.
But then, she just gives up. She's shaking hand with me. She's hugging me, and she was crying. And then they showed the point replay pe, and it was like there was some issue happened
Okay.
with her knee. And then Gopi sir was like, this is, don't think much about the injury part. You have trained very well for the last 4 years. You have changed the scene of badminton in India. You have reached to world number 2 ranking, so many super series. You have never got any kind of walkover in your life. Nobody's left the match in between, whenever you have played. This is the first time you get a walkover because she got injured. And I was like,
Mm.
how did this happen? I'm still not able to believe that I'm actually going to stand on the podium and receive the medal. I'm just thinking about how did she give it up? How did she get injured? They were
Mm.
like, you just enjoy the moment. We have trained so hard for the last 4 years.
Of
It
course.
happens. It happens sometimes. It happens in Super Series. It happened in the Olympics. You cannot decide where what will happen. It just happened, but you have trained very, very hard. And we all are so proud of you that you could change. Again, you could write history in the Olympics by winning the first medal for badminton in India. And I was like, sir, did I just do it? And he was like, yes, you did it. And I was standing on the podium and I was remembering all those, all the journey from the age of 9 to 22, and what my mom dreamt, what my coaches thought about me, the hard work and the dedication and the discipline. And of course, the way match turned out to be was a little bit like I was still not able to believe that. But after that, it took me maybe 2-3 months to really believe that I have the Olympic medal. And all my coaches were crying. I got call from all the
Oh,
different top athletes of India, and they were calling me and they were like, "We're so proud of you." And I don't know. Still I can't express that moment. It was very,
comprehend.
very special. Immediately next day, I could have my favorite jalebi rabdi in London. I was like, jalebi rabdi खा के ही जाना है. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you
I
deserved it.
finally, and then finally slept well in the flight.
That
I
night.
was like, yes, yeah, yeah.
Amazing. I love, love, love that. And I'm so, so, so proud of you for standing up every single time. And from the Olympic bronze to becoming world number one.
For one, yes.
Yes, and you defeated Prakash Padukone and your coach Gopi sir to actually become world's number one, and you remained there for 14 weeks. And then astonishing after 491 weeks of hard work. And I mean, it's something so fantastic, and it literally happens in like movies, right? So when you
Yeah.
officially saw your name, I'm sure it must be. something again what we discussed, it must be so surreal. But is it difficult to remain on the top, or it is more difficult to reach on the top between the two?
I think both are very difficult to be number one and be there for a long period of time. In fact, I was in top 10 for 12 years, but world number one is something I think Lee Chong Wei did that for 7 years. I mean, he was Malaysian, 7 years. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
Tai Zuing from Chinese Taipei was almost world number one for 5 years. I mean, I can just imagine to be there for 5 years is not. I
Amazing.
mean, you are playing 12, 13 super series in a year, and you have to at least play finals in 8 or 9 of them. I
Mm,
mean, you have to win 6, 7 of them to be in one that number one category. And I was like, and it didn't come easy to me after the Olympic medal in 2012. I was 3, 4 in the world, and then suddenly the next 2 years were not very good. I in fact came down in the ranking. The Chinese and all started reading my game a lot. They were like. In top 10 there were like 8 Chinese and I was the one, and there was one from Denmark called Tine Bon. So I
mm-hmm.
think these Chinese players were reading a lot about my game and about that girl from Denmark. They were ready for both of us, I guess. The next 2 years were not very, very good in terms of results. I remember in 14 I won again the Indonesia Open and Thailand Open, but in 13 I was not very good. And in the World Championships, imagine 6 World Championships I played before that, and all the 6 I lost in the quarterfinals. And I was like, will I be able to get an World Championship medal? I have an Olympic medal, but what about the World Championship medal? It's
Mm,
still,
mm,
after playing so well for so many years, I'm not able to get that medal because every time, whenever I play quarterfinals, I'm either getting Liu Zuri from China, Wang Yan from China, Wang Xixian from China. All the top athletes used to come in the quarterfinals. It was I don't know. I was not able to believe it. And one fine day, I speak to Gopi sir, and I'm like, "Sir, I think I'll have to change the atmosphere, or we're not able to understand what is going wrong,
mm,
because till then, this system of one-to-one coach or one-to-one trainer or one-to-one physio was not there. Till that time, we had Gopi sir for 30 players. We
right.
had one physio for 30 players. So I was like, I need to maybe change atmosphere. I need to go from here, and I need to find some solutions. And if I
Mm,
don't if I don't find it, maybe I will regret it later that I didn't
of
try
course.
anything. A
Of
player's
course.
career is not very, very long. You play
Mm,
well till you're 28, 29, but if you have good team, then maybe you can
mm,
push to 34, 35. But after that, it gets difficult. You don't have such a long career. So I
mm,
just told him, sir, I want to try something else. And he was like, just be patient. Maybe it will come next year. I said, I don't have the patience for another world championship. It's getting 6 World Championship, and the seventh one, if I was worried that even if I've prepared really well, maybe it will just not come because I'm not mentally ready for that last 2, 3 points, and the
mm,
opponent might just win it off because I'm not sure if I will get the medal or no. So sometimes this also plays a big role. If you're
mm,
ready physically, but what about mentally?
mm,
So I
mm.
requested him, sir, maybe I'll need to go. And he was obviously, we both were not happy with the decision, but I
Of
moved
course.
to Bangalore. I moved to Bangalore. I was world number 9 when I moved to Vimal Kumar sir, and he was like, let's try, let's see what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
And in the next 2, 3 months, from world number 9, I came to world number 4 again. And the next 2, 3 months, I'm playing the finals of All England. I'm winning the India Open. With India Open, I'm becoming world number 1. I played the finals of China Open. I And now comes the World Championship. I am ranked 1 in the World Championships, and I'm like, just one more match to go for the medal, and I'm playing again Wang Yihan from China, the one who's I said that I had 10-1 head to head, and
Mm.
that year I defeated her 4 times back to back. Can you
No
believe it? That
way.
year, yes. And in the World
Really?
Championship, I still can't believe it. It was her last tournament. I clearly remember that. And it was 19 all in the third set. And I was like, I'm not looking at my
No
coaches. I'm not.
way.
So
Oh
this is
my
what I was telling, after training so hard and after defeating her the last three times very comfortably in the World Championship, that nervousness comes that,
Of
I've lost
course.
in six quarterfinals. Will I be able to cross that quarterfinal? So that
Yeah.
thing was playing in my mind. And I'm not listening to anyone. I just have to believe in myself that I have 10 more points to go. I'm not thinking about anything else. I have to be calm, relaxed. I'm singing some song, something is happening, but I'm not going to think about this is the match point or this is 19 on. And somehow, the last 2 points was so good. I played with so much of, strong attitude that I was not anywhere looked like I'm going to lose it, but I was very good in handling the last 2 points, the pressure. And I won that match 21-19. And the first thing I did was I went and hugged her, and she hugged me, and she was like, "Finally, you got the World Championship medal." And it was the first World Championship medal for me after six quarterfinals attempt. I was like,
My
Vimal sir and all,
God.
we were so happy that finally I could break that mental barrier
Barrier.
as well. It was a big mental barrier. And after that, again, some more tournaments I went on winning, and I did well with Vimal sir, and I was like, I hope I don't have to regret after taking the decision to come to Bangalore. And I got one more World Championship medal after that in 2017 as well. But the only thing I regret is the 2016 Olympics. And I was in very good form. I was playing extremely well. In 2016, just before the Olympics, I won the Australia Open, defeating all the top athletes. And and just 2 3 days before the tournament, I started feeling some kind of knee pain in the knee, and it was the first time I'm feeling some kind of a pain which is actually more than pains usually I used to feel. I could take a lot more pain. My coaches used to say that you can take a lot of pain, but that doesn't mean that you can't rest. You should also rest, sometimes. I
Yeah.
said, yeah, but I don't think this pain is going to go with the rest. There is something wrong. And I didn't fall, I didn't have any kind of hit in my knee. I just went to the doctor. I asked him, sir, in next 3 days I have to go to the Olympics. What is wrong with my knee? And he said, just take rest for 3 4 days and let us see how it goes. And in those 3 4 days, I had to fly to Rio, and Rio is 30 hours, and I was like, I'm I will decide after going to Rio, maybe. So I went to Rio, and I was still having some pain. It was not as bad as before, but when I did the practice session, it again became bad. And I was
Oh
like, oh my
no.
God, now what to do? I've reached so far, I've come here, and now I'm limping. I went to the physios over there. I took cortisone injection as well to not feel the pain. But I was like, it's not working, I'm still feeling the pain. But I've come so far. I have to somehow, try at least play the matches. I somehow pulled out the first match, and second match, I still don't remember whom I lost to because the knee was tied so badly. The knee was
Oh.
tied extremely hard, and I was thinking about my knee and what is wrong with my knee. And after losing the match, my father was there. In fact, so many matches, so many tournaments I won when my father was there, and that was the only tournament I think he was a little disappointed that we are going back like this. And I said, we are taking the night flight back. I can't take this. There's something wrong. Immediately after the match, I booked the flight to Mumbai instead of Bangalore, and I went to the doctor straight, and I was like, "Sir, I think we'll have to take an MRI. This doesn't look like just a pain." And that was the first pain at the age of 26, which was something so big that I had to take MRI. Before that, I never went for any MRI, no injuries. My body was quite strong. And the doctor was like, how did you even play two matches? I would have cried. I was like, sir, that's the mental attitude of a player. They
An
just want to,
athlete.
yeah, an athlete. They just want to do well when they're playing in the Olympics for the
Yeah.
country. Now, what do I do? He says, you have an extra bone growth in your knee, and we have to cut it, and otherwise it's troubling your tendon. And I
Oh,
was like, so we'll have to go for surgery. And I was like, oh my God, surgery. That word also felt like really big at
of
that point of time.
course.
I
Scary.
went for surgery, and they removed that bone. They showed me how big the bone was. And he said, 4 months, next 4 months is going to be very tough. 4 weeks, 5 weeks of rest. then you can do your physio, and then you can come back and start playing on the court a little bit.
Mm.
And I was like, next 3 4 weeks is going to be torture because I have to sit at home, don't know what to do because I can't do rehab as well. Just sitting for an athlete is always a torture, because you
Yeah.
have moving your body all day, all night. But yeah, I was in a good company. My parents were there. I was talking to Vimal sir. I was watching my matches. I was watching the Olympics going on. So yeah, somehow also was crying a lot. So I could get sleep in the night after crying as much as possible. But now there was no option of going back and training next day. So I was just sitting and I was just thinking when these 4 weeks will go. But and
Mm.
one day I was so disappointed and I was like, what to do? I don't want to play anymore. And my parents were like, we are going to gym. Do you want to join us? I'm like, okay, I will come with you. And that is when again, everything was fine. I went, I did some gym, started my rehab. And then by the time I was back on the court, again, that momentum shifted, again, I
Mm.
felt nice to be on the court. Again, it was just
Sure.
like the next 2 months, I have Malaysia Open, I have big tournaments coming up. I'll focus on them and I'll do well. And I won the Malaysia Open. I again targeted that my ranking is come down, so I have to come back to top 10. So within
Mm.
4 5 months of playing well, again came back to top five. So I think that journey was tough because that was the first 4 months of my entire
Yeah.
career where I had to sit and come out of the surgery and big heartbreak because in the last Olympics I had a bronze medal. So I thought this Olympics I can get better medals. So yeah,
Yeah.
that heartbreak was there, but I just kept pushing. I just thought maybe next tournament I will do well. So there was this Malaysia Open which I won, then Indonesia Open, then again one more World Championship medal, Asian Games medal. I got to another Commonwealth Games gold medal. So a lot of positives after that.
Mm.
Yeah, there were some bad moments, but I think I got out of it very well and again won many tournaments. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Because I think what you must have felt was helplessness because it was
Yes.
beyond your control.
Control, yes.
But what you, sorry.
Okay.
No, that I was just saying that, yeah, I think the worst feeling is to be completely out of control, right? Because it's beyond anyone's control and what you had to go through. But how you actually came back after 4 weeks of, that break, I think that speaks volumes about how strong you are mentally and you recognize the good pain and the bad pain. Because
Yeah.
imagine if you would have pushed it even more, it would have been even more dangerous for your knees because you
Yeah.
have to think of a long term.
Yeah.
So, Saina, I also feel that women athletes also go through a lot in terms of sexism, and you have been open about talking about it, right? Especially in media, because there was expectation for you to wear makeup and look in a certain way, where the men or the men in sports are actually celebrated for being raw and sweaty and everything. How do you protect your mental focus at that point in time when there is like a media frenzy talking about your physical appearances and your approachableness, uh, to remain focused, for just being a woman, you're targeted.
Uh, Luckily, I don't think there was so much of issues with me that way. And I think sports person look very good anyways. They train so hard. Their skin is always glowing. They're always looking good, fit
Yeah,
on screen and on the field as well. You obviously have to dress up well once you are a top athlete. You are given such beautiful clothes to wear. But I don't think you have to really wear makeup and all because I think athletes don't require makeup so much
yeah,
unless they're going for some events or some award function. That is a different thing. But
yeah,
on the field, it is all about winning and losing, and that's what I think everyone looks forward to. It's maybe in tennis I've seen this a little bit more that they like to dress up and come on the court with some of the females come up with some makeup and all that. But in badminton I have not seen that much. But yes, in tennis it is there, and I've seen
hmm,
that. But finally, even if you obviously you're the top athlete, you're wearing makeup, you're wearing good dresses, you're appreciated for that. But you are happy when you're winning matches, I guess.
Of
It's
course. You
finally
ignore
matches are
everything else.
yeah, because it's your field is your winning and losing thing. Your field is not a fashion field or something where
Yeah.
you have to look good every time, but
Yeah.
it is definitely required when you're at the playing at the highest level. But you have to also make sure that when you're wearing makeup and all, I mean, you're spending so much of time for that. You better be ready that you're winning each and every match so that we appreciate everything
Doing
you're doing with your wins. And
with your
then it is
wins.
like she's wearing makeup, she's wearing mascara, she's wearing kajal, she's wearing good dress. And then it obviously a little bit talk will be there about that. But
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter as much. But finally, what matters is your wins. If you see Serena Williams, if you see Carolina Marin, if you see Tai Tzu if you see Chinese players, they're all praised for their wins and tournaments
The
and
wins. Yeah.
all that. And no, I don't think in badminton I've seen much of that. And I never wore any kind of makeup. And I think I still looked okay on screen and
You
I
do.
looked fit.
Of
I looked
course.
fit. And all the players look beautiful. Don't they don't really have to do it, but if
No.
they feel they're the best, nobody can beat them. Please go ahead and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, whatever
Everything will be
works for you.
appreciated. Everything will
Yeah.
be appreciated. Yeah,
100%,
yeah,
100%. But ever since we started talking, back of my mind constantly, I was just thinking that for a girl, who has so much of great passion about a sport, and you have to also go through menstrual cycle, we all do when we are having cramps and bloating, and my those 4 days are horrible, and you
yeah.
can actually get to know that there's something wrong with me. So in that, I don't want to rather move from my couch. So I was just constantly thinking that in the international tournaments, from Olympics to every time you played, how do you also override this physical strain with physical, everything what your body is going through? How do you deal with all these?
So I think anyways, as a sports person, you are ready for all the pains and aches in your body. You know that after tough sessions, your shoulder is going to hurt, your back is going to hurt, your knee is going to hurt, your calf muscles, your thighs, everything is going to hurt. But I know during periods it's not easy. It's even more challenging because you have, if you have some back pain, it will be added up to more back
Sure.
pain,
Yeah.
more laziness, more
Aggravates. Yeah.
everything. But you also feel little irritated. It's not easy. But as a player, when I look at so many athletes in the world are playing with that, so there's no reason I can complain about it because everyone in the world is playing with that. And I believe that if you are getting up and ready for that challenge, you just have to. Sometimes when you hate few things, if you overcome that by doing some good things like one time, two time, three times, then it feels like a part of you. You don't feel it like an irritation anymore. So if you are facing such issues, you can do good yoga, you can have good food, you can drink hot water, you can do some jogging to feel, you get that sweat out of your body so that you feel warmed up.
Okay.
And I know it's not easy. I feel that pain, but you have to be strong mentally. Anything can be defeated from here first. So you have to believe that your mind is ready for the challenge. And if you want to sit on the sofa, that's also your wish, right? And if you want to go out and run a little bit and see how it is, have good food and see how it is, that is also your wish. And if you try to challenge yourself, finally, challenging yourself is for me is equal to athlete. The challenges you face, and you hate few things to do. I hate running 400s, I hate running 1600s, but I did it so many times that finally, even if I hate it, I just can finish it, because now I just like it, I'll do it. So for me, I think all the girls out there, don't feel so much of, sometimes you can control your feelings by, not thinking that it's not that bad, it's fine, I can work out, I can go for gym, I can do some yoga, I can feel good by stretching my back, I can do some breathing exercise to feel bad, not feel bad or irritated. I can do meditation to feel good. So you can spend at least that 1.5 hour time of your day before going to office or after coming back from your office to feel good. And if you keep sitting the whole day, it'll add up to your stiffness a lot more. You will feel back pain a lot more. You will feel all the tightness a lot more because you're just sitting, you're not moving your body. So finally, moving your body will release some stress and will release some stiffness. And also, if you work out, you will sweat it out. You will feel even more happy to move your body. So these are the things. I think it helped me. It might help a lot of girls out there, but I think mentally girls feel that nahi hoga mujhse. This
More.
is
Yeah,
irritating. I can't do this. But this is not the way. I think it's all here. If you talk
I
like that,
agree.
if you talk negatively, then you have given up. So for me, I think I don't want to give up. I want to fight it out and I want to see how it is. And I've played so many matches and I've won so many tournaments with that. So I feel proud that I could take it in a positive way. Yeah.
And that's what makes you world champion. And all the sacrifices also you made. You also missed your sister's wedding, right? And you gave up your teenager life. I mean, all the things which we must be doing for the 5 by 6 meter court. And is there any specific sacrifice you made, maybe that jalebi or something which, looking back, you secretly wish that you did not have to make?
I think what we missed weddings, we missed festivals, we missed birthday parties, we missed Sundays, we missed whatnot. Nothing. We did nothing basically. Didn't play with toys, didn't have friends, didn't do anything. I mean, it just, for the country, you will have to do this. I think not only me, I think all the military people out there, Air Force, Navy people also do the same thing. You're fighting for the country, you're fighting for the medal. And when you stand on the podium, you don't even remember these things because finally you're so proud that the whole country is watching you win matches and they're so inspired by you. These things hardly matters. Finally, when I've retired now, I feel that some people are calling me for this festival, that festival. I was like, kabhi kiya hi nahi festival, kaise kare abhi festival. So it feels a little different. But
New.
I think, yeah, it was, players' life is like that. You don't even celebrate your birthday. I don't even remember sometimes birthday aaya or gaya. So
Oh.
it's a tough life, and you'll have to make yourself so tough
But
to
that's your
not.
normal. That's your
Yeah.
normal, right? I'm comparing from my point of view, but that's how your normal is that, just to be on the court. Yeah, absolutely. Because I
That's what
know,
I was. That's how I felt I will be good in my sport. And if anyone can, it's not that not many players, they like some festivals, they might celebrate and come back and train. That's also very good. But
yeah,
I was not someone who was very keen to anyways celebrate anything. I was like, it's fine, I'll go
focus
to
on anything
training.
else.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And just at the age of 19, you won Arjuna Award, and at 26, you were awarded Padma Bhushan, being the formally recognized as a National Treasure of India, which is the highest civilian award. So I want to ask that what are the three characteristics, according to you, which made you reach at that level? Apart from, of course, your game.
I feel hard work is the first thing, discipline, and never giving up. Never giving up. I think that's what many people used to tell me also. How do you, on court, you look like a tiger, you just change suddenly, and off the field, you are just like a lazy person. Uh, you are not talking much, but you're on field, you're so aggressive. How does that change happen? I said, I don't know. Maybe my mom was like that on court, and I just got it from her, I guess. Papa was someone who was very silent and he used to play. They both used to play too. But my mom was someone who was very aggressive, I guess. So I got it from her.
So you got best of both worlds.
Yeah, so I think these three things for a sports person, there's no shortcut. Hard work is equal to success, and discipline is equal to success, and never giving up attitude will help you win many matches. So I think these three things really helped me to achieve many big titles and such prestigious honors. Yeah.
Yeah, love that. And after 25 years, you announced your retirement
Yeah.
this January because of the injuries and everything you've been going through. But I want to ask you that after all the adrenaline and all the recognition, all the dopamine, when you stepped away from badminton, playing, internationally, how are you exactly managing the neurological quietness? Because every day 4 or 5 in the morning, every single time you're not out there, playing, or your name is not getting screamed anymore. So how are you dealing with this quietness around you suddenly?
So I think it's not easy because you're playing every day for 9 to 10 hours, and suddenly your life is going to be so quiet. Suddenly you're going to live a normal life. And I think Gopi sir was preparing us for that long before. He used to say that keep doing meditation, keep doing your breathing work, keep doing like a gym, it's very important. And I was like, why is sir doing so much of meditation? But he said that after stopping badminton, you will have another a second half of your life, and you will feel it very difficult because you have played every day of your 25 years of life, and it's not easy to just sit at home. And I was like, nahi sir, ho jayega, this is not so tough and all
Hmm.
that. But
Hmm.
he said, no, it's going to be tough. Your mind is always, mind wants to be active, and it's not very easy to sit. And that is when I understand that why he did so much of meditation and breathing exercises. And I am learning now because luckily I have been getting so many motivational talks, and I've been traveling so much, and anyways I have been busy. But to sit at one place, you require a calm mind, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'm learning. I'm trying to do a lot of breathing exercises, a lot of meditation to. And I am also, this will be a very good thing to, obviously I didn't have in my playing career, but nowadays, if you get a mental trainer as well from the age of 7, 8, it'll be fantastic because many people are going through stress. It is not easy for you to just come out from such hectic life to such different life. So if someone is there from you from the age of 7, 8, maybe they can help you a lot with your mental training and make you such a strong person till you are senior and you can understand what life is. So I'm trying to understand with meditation, with a lot of breathing exercises, and seeing a lot of on things on social media that how to control your mind, because mind is the biggest challenge for you to control. And once you learn about all these things, you understand it's not easy, but at the same time you can control your mind by doing
Hmm.
such things. And gym is my favorite thing to do. I go to gym and I spend time as much as possible over there. And I also am busy with a lot of, as I mentioned, traveling and motivational talks. So it gives me happiness that I am around badminton. I am giving advice about badminton, although I have not still thought about coming into coaching part, because that's a very again a different part. It's like teaching. Teaching is very difficult. It's not easy. Playing
Hmm.
is always a selfish thing to do. Playing is easier, but being a coach is very difficult. So maybe I will think about it in next 2, 3 years, not now.
Sure.
But I'm at the moment, I'm thinking about the sacrifices my parents made, the sacrifices I have made for so many years. I want to show them the world. Like they have never went out, all their life they were behind me. So I just want to show them the world, enjoy life a bit, and take care of my body, eat well, take care of my fitness. And as an athlete, you always want to look strong, toned, and how you were as an athlete. So I'm
Hmm.
trying to do that, although I've put on some weight. But I want to cut down on my food cravings and all that. I love food. I'm North Indian, so I love aloo paratha. I love jalebi rabdi. So I'm trying to cut down on that, and I'm trying to hit the gym as much as possible. But yeah, for the time being, next 2, 3 years, I want to just see the world, enjoy myself, and maybe after 3, 4 years, as the mind changes, maybe I can come into the coaching, maybe can come into the politics. You never know, whichever part interests me. Yeah.
Love that. Love that for you. And you deserve that every second of your next few years. And
Thank
I
you.
want to pick up on the politics because you've recently joined this world of politics and leadership. And I mean, it just made me wonder that why politics? And or is there any reason you want to get into the politics to support athletes or which can actually have the next generation of athletes ready? Or any other reason why you joined politics?
It's definitely to support athletes, and all. I joined politics in 2019. I'm with BJP. I really like the way Narendra Modi sir, his aura, the way he carries himself, the way he is trying to do well for the country, and I'm a big fan of his. So yeah, in future I definitely want to, because I know about sports, so maybe help sports in a big way, and. I think that's what really interests me sometimes, but I don't know. At the moment, I'm not actively in politics, but I keep supporting them in their different women empowerment events or sports events or any events where I'm required. I'm always there and supporting them.
Hmm,
But to actively come into the politics, maybe as I just mentioned, I want to enjoy the next 2, 3 years and
fair.
see which field interests me. But definitely, if it is politics, then it will be for the sports and for the improvement of the sports in India. Yeah.
More power to you. And I'm from Gujarat and I'm a Gujarati from Ahmedabad. So I have seen Narendra Modi as a chief minister to reaching
Of
where
course.
he is. I've met him also once or twice actually. So I totally know that, he doesn't miss a beat and the aspirations he has for
Yeah.
India is tremendous.
He knows about all the athletes. I don't know how it is.
Oh my
Obviously,
God.
you will want to read before you meet people, but sometimes when you're meeting,
And he
suppose 50,
remembers.
50 athletes, he remembers each and every player's
Everything.
this thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's his biggest strength because he's so alert and he makes you feel so special and wanted. It's
Yeah.
unreal. Something very special. We were on a flight. We were actually going on a holiday from Ahmedabad to Kashmir, and he happened to be on a regular flight, which is, I don't
Yeah.
know how. And he was a chief minister then. And our seats are very different. I think my uncle and also were coming on a holiday with us. So they were in the row two. He was in row one. My dad happened to go, to say, talk to my uncle. And he happened to see that there's Narendra Modi. And then he came back, and my mother is crazy
Big
Narendra
fan.
Modi fan, yeah.
My mom
And he
also.
came back and he tells us, and my mother is like, she jumped and she's like, okay, I'm going. And she went. And then imagine like somebody's going and talking to someone in the first row. So everyone started wondering that who
Who
is
is
it?
there? Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And the whole flight, I'm not even kidding, went upside down. So he actually, because everyone started wondering, and so crew could not even manage. So you know what? He's so sweet. He actually told the crew that calm down, I will go and meet everyone. So he literally
Wonderful.
got up and came to every row because
Oh.
everyone, and I still remember I was sitting on an aisle seat. I have a picture with him too, but I asked him, and that time I think there was a lot of media frenzy, a lot of people were talking against him, and because I'm a Gujarati and this riots, Ahmedabad riots, and everything was being talked about. So I actually asked him in Gujarati, but I'll say it in as literal way as possible. That how do you remove that noise when there's so much of negativity and so many people are trying to pull you down? How do you stay focused? And that was my actual question to him. So he said it to me in Gujarati that, when the elephant walks, dogs bark. And all you have to do is the elephant doesn't care, what the dogs are doing. And that just stayed with me so much. And after that, any point in time, if I'm stuck and then people are trying to pull me down, I pretty much remember that line because it's so deep and profound. And just like, you as an athlete also, because when you go on the court, I'm sure your opponents, team members, sometimes the crowd also cheers for another person, right? How do you like still stay focused and focus on your game and still win when everyone is not really cheering for you? How does that happen?
I think it comes with experience. Yeah, you lose few matches like that initially when you are not prepared for all these things, but you have practiced so well that finally the concentration and focus is so much on the match that you hardly focus about what is happening outside.
Okay.
So I just so that comes with obviously the way I'm sure Narendra Modi sam would have told you about it. Initially, even he would have thought maybe what is all this, I'm not
Mm.
liking it. Initially everyone
Yeah.
uh,
You
they
get
don't
you.
like these things,
Yeah.
they feel that what is happening, but then slowly you understand this is part of your life. The
Yeah.
more you do well, it is going to be more and more. It's initially I thought this is it, but then later on it became even more worse. There were many people who are like with you, but there's so many who are against you. They'll talk
Yeah.
behind you. They will say
Absolutely.
injury हो गया तो career खत्म हो गया. There's so many things they will keep telling, but you will
Hmm.
have to keep fighting. Finally, your racket has to talk. Finally, you know that you are the best because of your hard work and because of your focus on the game, and you have that quality of winning. So that is definitely there in you. So you just have to focus and do well. So I think it's the same with everyone. If they don't really care about what is happening around you, and you're focused so much, and you're just thinking about each and every point, you hardly think about it. And it's not only me. I think all the top players who are playing at the world level learn it, and they're playing so
Mm.
perfect. Not every time they get the support. Many
Yeah.
times they're facing the support. The
Yeah.
other people are supporting the other player, so they have to be ready for all these things. It will happen. People will mock you, people will laugh at you, and there will be different things which are happening in the crowd, but you
Hmm.
just have to focus so much on the match that it's one by one, 1 point, one by 1 point. You just have to think about how to get that point out and how to win the match. And
Hmm.
there are your coaches behind you. There are few people who will be with you. I'm sure they will be cheering for you. So you just have to focus on those people and not to think about what is
Anyone
happening.
else?
No, no, no. It is just going to be there always, and you have to be ready for that. You have to keep yourself relaxed and calm. And I've seen it in all the different sports, not only in badminton. Every sport, top athletes, everyone faces this. So you
Yeah.
have to be prepared for that. Yes.
Sure. And last but not least, Saina, every girl who is listening today, looking up to you, admiring you, dreaming of becoming somebody like you, what advice would you give it to her?
I just want to say that if I didn't have a role model to look up to and I still could make it to world number one and win an Olympic medal, I mean, nowadays you have everything on social media. You have everyone, so many athletes are doing well from India. You have so many people, so many examples to look at, and just be positive. And if I can do it, you all can do it. Just you need to have that kind of belief in you. You have to have that courage and discipline is the first thing to, and if you can challenge yourself in difficult moments, and then every moment, whether it is a happy moment, whether it is a difficult moment, everything will look normal to you. So it's just that focus on your work, just try to give your best. Sometimes your parents also will shout at you, but it is all their love, they want you to do well. So don't feel bad if your parents, coaches, teachers shout at you, try to tell you something, because it comes with experience. Learn it, take it with good feelings, and I'm sure if you really listen to them, you will come out as winner. Yeah.
Oh my God, love that. So, on that note, thank you so much. But before I let you go, I'm just going to ask very quick rapid fire questions. Whatever comes to your mind, just say it. So, first question is best piece of advice you've ever received?
That I'm the best by my mom.
Oh my God. Love that. If you meet 16 years old Saina today, what would you tell her?
uh I think she was already very aggressive. I just have to tell her maybe to do
Calm
less
down.
training. She used to just kill herself. Yeah. Yeah.
One defeat that changed you forever.
Olympic 2008 quarterfinals. I think it made me really mature, really, a different person. Yeah.
Three players from any sport who inspire you the most and why.
Roger Federer, Tawfiq Hidayat, and Sachin Sir. I mean, the attitude which these three people have, very relaxed, very calm. in difficult moments, and I think that really, um, attracts me. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that too. And I see that in Sinner as well. I'm a huge Sinner fan. I love Alcaraz also, but the demeanor
That's
he has is
very relaxed,
super,
very
super
calm.
calm.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Your daily self-care routine, which you swear by, apart from going to the gym.
Have good food. I try to have food which, and obviously, if you're young, you don't feel it as much. But I look at my parents, and sometimes I look at old people with who are 60, 70. They're facing so many issues nowadays, and I'm like, oh my God, I better have good food at least and take care of myself that I don't have that kind of issues
Health
later on in
issues.
my life. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I try to control the food which I like, because nowadays you like to have, once you stop playing, you like to have all samosa, jalebi, and all that. Because you have left playing, you feel like having all these things. But I still try to be strict with my diet so that later on I don't have to face difficulties like that. Because otherwise,
Yeah.
I've seen many people struggling, and then gym is the thing which I cannot you know,
Miss.
uh, miss, because that is something which will always keep me active and ready for all the challenges. With now, as I have arthritis in my right knee, I have to take care of it by doing good conditioning exercises, and that can only happen in gym. So gym is something which is very important for players. There's nothing else we can do. Have good
Sure.
food or gym. Yeah.
Sure. What do you usually eat before and after the game?
Um, so we have meal before 3 hours so that we don't feel heavy before the match. So bananas is something which we can have in between or before the match. And after the match, yes, we have that recovery drink, or then can have banana again, because there's the best fruit, or an apple, or then maybe you can have a meal after 1 2 hours. But before the match is very important to have the meal 3 hours before, so that you feel light and not heavy during the match. Yeah.
Okay. Best book you ever read, which you would recommend everyone should?
No, I'm hardly into books. I'm already very ready with my mind. I don't need books to be ready. So I just, the advice is just to be a fighter. Never give up. Yes.
Okay. If you had not picked up badminton racket, what would you be doing?
I think I would have been some kind of a sports person, because I love sports. Um, and as I said, I love working hard. Maybe I would have done well in any sport, not only in badminton. So sports person always, I guess. Yeah.
Love that. If your life were to be a movie, if there is a movie made on you, what do you think would be the title and who do you want Saina to be played by?
There is already a movie on me. It's called
Really?
Saina. Yeah, it's called Saina. It's on Amazon. You can also watch it on YouTube.
Okay.
Parinti Chopra did that movie.
Oh, okay.
So it was a pretty good movie. You
Really?
can go and watch it. It's already
I
there.
will. I will watch it. Okay.
Yeah.
And
And
last but not
Saina is a perfect
name.
title. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And what does success mean to you?
Success, I think you have to, success comes with a lot of, I would say, discipline. Again, discipline is something which makes you successful, and also be grounded, be down to earth, which is very important to stay consistent. I have noticed that thing that, after achieving few titles, some tend to not, focus that much, or lose concentration, or try to feel that I'm the best, and not uh, you know, not show up consistently. Then they feel that I'm the best and all that. I think that feeling, if you control and stay grounded and keep working hard, if you want to achieve a lot more, if you want to be maybe not once but twice Olympic gold medalist, or thrice Olympic gold medalist, then I think you'll have to stay grounded. You have to keep learning. You have to keep listening to your coaches. You have to understand that every day is a challenge again.
A
And
new day.
but if you
Yeah.
want to just win one or two titles and be happy with that, and I'm like, it's up to you. But I mean, it depends on, again, I said, champions mentality is that you want to just keep on winning and doing well. And to be consistent, you have to be grounded and down to earth, and understand that it's not just one title, you want to win all the titles the whole year. And for that, you have to be the way you are, the way you started the game. You have to always go back and look how you were when you were 9, 10, 11. Even if you are 20, 30, years old, that the amount of madness you had to win, you wanted to win the title, or you wanted to do the right recovery, have the right kind of food, and the same thing you do it when you're 20, 30 also, because you just want to do well and improve yourself every year. Yeah.
Oh my God. On that note, Saina, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your incredible journey, for inspiring us, for being a woman who went out there as first but did all the heavy lifting so that rest of us could actually believe an Indian woman could conquer the world. And you just didn't play badminton. You actually changed what it really means to be a female leader, a female athlete in India. So thank you
Thanks.
for doing that. Thank you for being so humble and so approachable. And from the corridors of Rashtrapati Bhavan to actually being at 4 o'clock in the morning in Hyderabad, court, I think the entire journey proves that a true force never finishes. And this is just the second inning which you are starting. And
Thank you.
it's been fantastic to talk to you, and to all the girls who are listening today, all the women who are listening today. Remember, this is not just a podcast, this is a global sisterhood. Just like Saina, the absolute resilience to survive hundreds of quiet losses and unforced errors, just so that you can actually be on the court enough to win every true moment which matters. So when the world tells you to be quiet, be loud. When your biology, your injuries, and your circumstances tell you to stop, look right at them and negotiate with your mind and keep moving, because you are the author of your own legacy. So go out there, break that glass ceiling, and achieve just like Saina, because you are also a force. So until next time, thank you so much. Stay powerful, stay unshakable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Nice
Thank
talking to you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to You Are a Force. Hit subscribe and join us next week for more powerful stories from women rewriting the rules. Until then, keep building, keep leading, and remember, you are a force.